Hey Babylicious, nice to see you as always. I want to talk about online thrifting because I'm a fan. The one issue with online thrifting is that I mainly have to stay within the borders of Norway. Import tax, customs, all of this. Like, I have one purchase from Etsy, just one, and I ended up having to pay half of the price of the item in customs. Which is fine when you really want something, but a lot of times I don't want it that bad. I did make a video last year, what's in my basket. That's kind of what we're gonna do today as well. But this app, one of the reasons I've loved it so much is because it has personal recommendations. You know, the algorithm knows what I like. This has kind of led me to become a lazy thrifter. I can just open my For You page and there's a bunch of things for me. But then recently, I don't know what's happened, but somehow the settings or something is just not working. So I'm not getting any recommendations tailored to my preferences. And it's really annoying. And what's happened is that I just don't go on there and look as much as I usually do. But I miss it. Okay, well, imagine if I was totally green. How would I even end up in, you know, when you go on the internet and then you're searching stuff and then you click on something and then you click on something else and then suddenly you're down the oh so famous rabbit hole. Whether you wanted to end up there or not, the journey there is usually quite interesting. There's a bunch of keywords that I like to use when I want to find something, because I'm usually just out window shopping. I'm just browsing. I don't necessarily have a specific design or item in mind. Sometimes I do. And for those, I have like an active search so that if someone in the country publishes that item, I get a notification. So that setting does still work. But the recommendations, for some reason, the algorithm has left me. I don't know. But I thought I would share with you some of my favorite search words or like keywords for online thrifting. I usually like to use 3 different categories, and you could either use them on their own or combine them. Number 1 is like designer or brand. I'll write all my favorite keywords on screen and then you can just take like a little screenshot. Number 2 is type of item, chair, bed, rug, whatever it is that you're looking for. And then 3 is the particular material. And then also, to be fair, we can throw in a 4th category, which is like an adjective, something descriptive of whatever it is that you're looking for. You know, only your imagination can kind of like stop you when it comes to that 4th. But the 3 first ones are the ones that I use actively. And also, of course, the most obvious one is that if there is one particular design that you know that you're looking for, obviously just write that. First of all, let me show you this friggin' webpage. Like there are no personal recommendations for me here. You can tell. Like, what am I gonna do with a SMC Mistral 50 Sport? Yes, no. Anyway, I thought I'd show you some of my saved, some of the things I've saved, just because I have been a little bit active recently and I did find a few like really good things. Let's start out with the most recent thing that I actually thrifted. I have already filmed this particular video that you're watching right now. And then I messed up the sound. Love it. Anyway, as I was filming that, I came across a chair that I had saved from a different part of the country. And here's that clip. I'm so close to pulling the trigger on this. The only thing that's keeping me away from it is that, oh, here's another one. Wow, and it's cheaper. Okay, I'm getting this one. Perfect. Oh my God. Okay, amazing. Saving that. Wow, I'm so happy. How exciting. Okay, nice. Now you saw the real life version of what happens when I'm like scrolling on the... Oh! Sorry, I sound like a fucking bird. Here, this one has wheels and it's half the price. Okay, I'm gonna get this one. Here's the Nelson Perch chair that I thrifted literally as I was filming this video last time. The next day I went and bought this, and it is really freaking cool. It is a perfect chair to have in a home office. The only thing is I don't actually have a home office yet anyway. Unfortunately, it's much taller than I had, than I thought. Like, I'm sat taller than the actual tabletop, so I have no use for it after all. Long story short, I'm gonna resell it. So if you live in Norway, if you live in Oslo and you're interested, you know, write me a message on Instagram and you can come by and pick it up. One thing that I'm actively kind of looking for is the tulip table by Eero Saarinen, and this is the table. Now, I love this design. I would really like to find it secondhand at a reasonable price. This one is at 25,000 Norwegian kroner, which is expensive. I did find it in the Swedish equivalent of this app, but because I don't have a Swedish bank ID, I couldn't message them. And by the time I figured out how to do it, it was sold and it was listed at like 6,000. So 6,000 compared to 25,000 is a pretty big difference. I was prepared to hire a car and drive to Sweden to pick up this table. Unfortunately, someone else beat me to the punch. Here's another one. Now this is a whole set. This is by Knoll International, so it is a legit tulip table, but I don't like the chairs. I only want the table, and this entire set is listed at 60,000, but they do write that they might consider selling the table separately. So we'll see, but I have saved it just in case. If I go on Etsy, if you search tulip table Eero Saarinen, you obviously get so many options right away because it's the entire world. But then, as I said, but it's quite expensive already, and then the freaking customs is gonna make it even more expensive. So that's like a downside that I don't like about Etsy, unfortunately. But I could obviously find it on here. Okay, so that's one of the active searches I've got going. Another active search I've got going is one of my favorite Norwegian furniture makers from like the mid-century era, Sven Ivar Dyste. So I get a notification every time someone lists something by him. Here's 2 chairs for sale. I think they look... I love his expression. Is that what you call it? Like his furniture expression. One of my dream chairs of all time is the... I don't remember the name of it, but like the lounge chair version of this. But I absolutely adore these chairs. And I did see someone selling a house once where the dining area was like a massive table, and then they had 6 or 8 of these chairs around, and I thought it looked really, really cute. Another favorite of mine is Torbjørn Afdal, which is also a furniture maker from the 60s in Norway. And my living room table, which is actually a bench that we use as a coffee table. I'm not thinking of exchanging it for anything else. But then I came across another design by him, which is an actual like coffee table. And I adore this piece. So it's a pretty massive table in teak. And then the inside is painted white. And then it's got a smoked glass tabletop. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I am actually not a fan of coffee table books on the actual coffee table that you use. Just because personally, it means that I would have to tidy it every time I want to use it. And so I really like a table like this where you could put all your fancy, nice little coffee table books underneath and you could still see them from the top. So I really like this. And when I came across it, I was like, wow, maybe I want this. Maybe I want this. Then I found another one selling the exact same table. Now this one is looking a little bit more like, how would you say? Like this one's looking a little bit more scruffy. And then I found the third one, same table. So, I mean, you could argue, does that make this table unique? I don't know, but it's really cool. Then again, it is a little bit big for my space, sadly, but I think it's fucking awesome. So I saved three different listings of the same table, just in case, if I down the line change my mind about the table I have now. If I suddenly have a bigger space, you never know, I might want a bigger coffee table. And then this is a strong contender. Now I know the name of the design, which is Studio, and I can go back to my list and kind of use it as a reference list, which is kind of nice. And this is how you enter the rabbit hole. You see something that you like, you scroll down, and finally, here are the recommendations that I was looking for. You actually see quite a few things that I've saved. Let's look at this one. Same designer, Bali is the name of this table. It's just one picture, that's annoying. But that's a really nice desk. I want a really big, nice desk. I can't have that because I don't have the space, but I would have loved it. So this is actually the bench that I have. Whereas this one is very, very nice on the tabletop. Mine's a little bit damaged actually. And also this is a pretty decent price. This is how much I bought mine for. See, I could buy this for this price and I could resell it for the like double. Okay, we'll save it just in case. If you're on Etsy, let's take this one. So if you're on Etsy, they have a really cool function where you could press this little button, find similar items, which I really like. It's like image search technology because, I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, anything that's considered similar by the algorithm, I guess, you can find it that way. Just cute. I love a little stool. I guess like the most popular little stool are the wooden ones. But I quite like a little taburette or tam-tam chair. I don't really have the space for it or use for it, but like imagine something like this as a plant stand. That'd be freaking cute. Anyway, let's go back to my favorites. And this is one that I found recently that I was a little bit upset about that I didn't buy. I mean, this type of wood doesn't fit in my home, sadly. But I thought they were very cool. They are also by Vanity. You might have seen like similar versions of this. You know, IKEA have their version. Maybe the most popular one, vintage-wise, is the ones by Eero Saarinen. Oh, I'm throwing out Eero Saarinen. It might be Alvar Aalto. They have a really, really famous little stool design. And I think they're both produced by Artek. But I thought these were kind of like in the same family of stools or chairs. Fritz Hansen, they have, this is not like completely round, it's more like a square round. But I do prefer a round table. I actually almost always would choose a round dining table above a square dining table just because I really like the feeling of being able to see everyone sat around. And I also think that, I just think it looks really freaking cute. However, if you have like a very big dining room, a square table is fine. But if you have a smaller space, I often prefer a round table. Not always. I mean, it depends on the space, honestly. I can't claim stuff like that. I saw this, I thought this was really cute. I feel like this is a very typical Scandinavian mid-century design. I don't know the English word, they're called innskuddsbord. Usually 3 or 4 tables at different levels and you can stack them. And I've seen them a bunch of times, but the reason that I saved this particular one was because I actually freaking adore this laminate or whatever it is on the top here. I thought this little pattern was really cool. And it's giving me, did you watch the Flintstones cartoons when you were a kid? Something about this gave me like flashback to the Flintstones or something like cartoon vibes from this. I thought this was really cute. I went to a market in London a little while ago and I spotted some of these little stools, and I think they are really, really cute. In my first apartment when I moved out at the ripe age of 17, I had like a little makeup table. That was my first teak piece of furniture, like the first furniture I ever bought, like a vanity table. So it was teak, and then it had like a mirror attached, and I had random seating options for the years that I had it. But something like this would have been hella cute. Let me show you the most dreamy vanity table that I've ever found. This is a teak fresco dressing table by Victor Wilkins for G-Plan in the 1960s. They also have one of these little vintage stools, and they look so good together. But it's really nice because it has this mirror, and the table itself is just very sleek, very chic. I would have loved to have a vanity table again like this. I did really enjoy having one when I was younger, because then I was living in shared flats and stuff. It was nice to have a little station where I could do my makeup and get ready and have all my creams and stuff. Compared to a lot of other similar tables from around that same time, I feel like this would mold really well with a lot of different interior design styles and a lot of like perhaps more modern styles. So it's on my wish list for sure, but it's been sold. This one I actually bought. This is in my home. So you know my video about iconic designs? A lot of times when online thrifting or like window shopping, it is kind of fun to find iconic designs. So here's one that I messaged about. Sadly, it's been sold. But it is the Barcelona chair by Mies van der Rohe. It's broken, so it would need some work, but I'm crafty. And it was because of this damage, it was listed at a very reasonable price. I wanted to buy it to resell it because it's a nice chair, but it would have been nice to sell it for 10 times the price that I bought it at. So another iconic design piece that I didn't mention in my video, if you haven't watched it, I'll link it here somewhere. The Casina Maralunga sofa. I think these are quite rare to find for sale in Norway because Italian design furniture from the 70s aren't all that big here, sadly. I actually quite like this design. But then again, I've never sat on it, so I don't actually know. I have a friend who had it, and they said that it wasn't as comfortable as it looks. So I don't know, I would need to try it for myself. Perhaps they would look good in my home. I'm a little bit over my sofa. I think it's boring. It's nice, but it's like light gray. We need some more color in there. I'm just window shopping, you know, what are my options? I thought this was kind of cool, and it's the original fabric from the 70s as well. And they don't make this fabric anymore, from what I can tell online. This fabric is kind of cool. And then I came across the exact same one in a different color. Now, you can see that this pillow here is a little bit damaged, and it was listed at 10,000 Norwegian kroner. It was marked as sold, and then very shortly after, it popped up again by a different vendor. So someone is thinking like I'm thinking. So they bought it for 10,000 and they've listed it at 19,500. I think they're just looking to make money, which, I mean, fucking no shame. I'm doing the exact same thing. But I might, if I were looking to buy this, I could potentially be cheeky and... Actually, I'll give you a live example of this. So in a different app that's more for clothing, I found a pair of boots that I really liked and I saved them. Then they were sold. Maybe like 6 months, 8 months later, they reappeared on the app, and I think they were listed at a higher price. So I messaged the person and I was like, actually, I'd be interested to buy them at the same price that you bought them at. And she said, yes. Let me show them to you. Look at these. Aren't they cute? Hella cute. They're like leather boots with little flowers on them. And then when I went to try them on, they're like slightly big. So I put the soles from my sneakers inside and then they fit perfectly. And she was like, wait, what? And I was like, wait, you never use them with soles? I mean, what are you doing? Babes, you need to put soles in them. They're mine now. Anyway, on the topic of like more iconic sofas, here's the Mahjong sofa by Roach Boys that I definitely would not want to buy, but it's so unique to find it for sale. I've never in all my years of thrifting online in Oslo seen it for sale. So I saved it just because I thought, what the hell? But then also it's like 250,000 kroner. I don't have that kind of money. Speaking of iconic pieces, this is by Hans Wegner. It's the PP 225 flagline chair, and it's amazing. Here's another cool one. MP41 by Percival Leifer. I imagine this being like in some like man's apartment. But I love the colors. I love the teak. I love the green leather. Even, is it teak or is it rosewood? I don't know. I think even though this is a little bit more of a masculine design, I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, but I mean, you can obviously see it on the screen. I'm here for it. I freaking love it. I wouldn't have anywhere to put it though, so I just saved it because I think it's cute and cool. 25,000. This is a problem with a lot of the cool things, is that they're freaking expensive. Here are some plates that I really like. You know, I love pairing a vintage plate with a more modern plate, and I thought these ones were really cool because they would look good on a black ceramic plate, but they would also look good on a white plate, or a blue one for that matter. Maybe, if I'm lucky, I'll be out and about thrifting in the wild, and I might spot something and I can use this as a reference list. I'm dreaming of having a nice home office, and so I'm keeping my eyes open for a good chair, and I am a huge fan of Eames. The problem is they're all so freaking expensive, so you guys need to keep watching my videos so that I can save up and buy one of these expensive chairs one day. And I did find these ones, Eames Aluminum Group Executive Chairs, model EA437. Compared to what they retail at, 22,000 is not that bad. I don't have 22,000 as of this moment to spend on a chair, but I do really think they're awesome. Now, I prefer black leather and chrome, but that's not the point. The point is, I don't think these green ones are all that bad. I think they're kind of cool, actually. They also look so comfortable. Look at this plush seat. Don't you want to put your little tushy on the seat and just... Anyway, I know I do. I want to place my little tushy on this and do a lot of working. But yeah, you can see a big difference. 22,000 for the executive chair, which is also like a bigger chair, versus 35,000 for the newer one. And in my humble opinion, I think actually the vintage ones are almost worth more than the newer ones, especially when they're in great condition. See, here's the one that I was going to show you before. This is the same sofa. Here's the original listing, and you can tell from the pillow. And this was listed at 10,000, and then the other vendor is listing it at 19,000. So, you know it's the exact same one. I don't blame them though. I would probably do the same thing. I need to leave the house. I need to leave the house. It's 6:30 and I haven't left the house yet. I was working all day. I'm also kind of sick. I can tell that the painkiller I took before filming is running out. What are the takeaways? So I hope some of those items could be of inspiration. Maybe they weren't, and that's fine. But those are some of the things I've saved in my list over the last couple of weeks, and hopefully some of those keywords can be of help for you. And honestly, just spending time looking and browsing and seeing what's out there is really helpful for the day that you are actually going to buy something. Thank you so much for hanging out. As always, it's a pleasure, and hopefully I'll catch you next time.